Hello, everybody. How you doing? Sammy, United People's TV. Got to turn my notifications off because as soon as I go live, boom, everyone wants the message. There we go. I'm in a chipper mood this morning. I will give you a slight warning about what this show is probably going to be like. If you listen to the podcast, you got a bit of a teaser. I'm here after a couple of days away, relaxing, refreshed. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? I feel less relaxed after a couple of days off than I do when I was here on Monday morning. Brilliant show we've got lined up. Let's talk about the apocalyptic finances of Manchester United. Oh, surprise. Oh my God, who saw this coming? £1 billion of debt. £1 billion has left the club. The whole United fan base, and it is a fucking civil war right now. That's what it feels like. Right, you cannot say anything without somebody coming in and just trying to punch you in the face. Or why didn't you say this? Or why didn't you say that? And I'm having to deal with a fair amount of it. So I'm here to have a conversation with you this morning. We're zipped up to the top. We're about to get scrappy in this show, I'll tell you that. We'll run through the finances. We'll run through the top level of the finances. We'll speak about Ineos and the massive mistakes that they have made in the first year. We'll speak about the financial situation of Ineos and have a conversation about that. We'll speak about, the fact that we've got a game on Saturday morning. We actually play football. It's the fact that we're 15th in the league that all of this is just like, it just gets, not inflated, but just it gets more consuming, I think is the right way I would describe it. I'll try and read some of your comments, but there's no doubt there's going to be plenty of you in the chat that are just going to try and rile me up, I suppose. That's just where United fans are right now. Let me see who's here from the mod and the member gang. Say hello, and then we'll try and run through a show. If anyone can pull some positivity out of this, Sam can. I'll be honest, there may be a little bit of a conversation we can have later in the show, but I'm coming here ready for a scrap. Toby, there's no resetting going on, man. There's absolutely none. I feel so much less relaxed today than before I had a couple of days away. I really, really do. Ant, good morning to you. Stephanie, good morning to you. Carl, Alex saw you there as well. Akash, good morning to you, dude. JC, we've got Stephen Lawrence, we've got Smee, Ross, Alex, Imtiaz, Ryan. And can I just quickly say this, right? There's something I just want to get off my chest. I absolutely love what I do with United People's TV, and I would never in a million years have changed the fact that I've been privileged enough to be in this position. But fuck me, has it been taxing. Holy hell. If you genuinely do, if you care about United, if you are a fan and you love this football club, to be in the sort of trenches over these last few years, and Sam, we could just not do the live show. The live show that there's a community that's built off the back of that use this live show to sort of try and get their head around it. No, because other people now, I wouldn't say rely on this show, but they love the show. They love the community that's off the back of it. Could you imagine? I can't really. And this is something I said in the podcast this morning. Like, imagine being Ruben Amorim in all of this. Imagine being a Manchester United player and genuinely caring about Man United and being in the middle of all of it, where it's just so consuming. And in all the wrong ways. And it's been a year now since Ineos took over. I'll run through the first year. I'll speak about the big mistakes that they've made. Man, and they made some mistakes. But look, I will always, on this channel, if there is a story that needs to be discussed, then I will discuss it. I won't ever bury my head in the sand because I don't want to speak about something. I won't ever I've told you a million times on this channel, I don't have agendas about any individual player. I don't have links and connections to anybody. I'm completely independent. I just kind of speak what I feel is the truth and look at all the facts and try and present it as much as I possibly can. But it's just still that's a complete clusterfuck still. A complete and utter. Like, how long can it go on for? I don't know. I really don't know. Look, let's run through the news. Quickly start off here by saying congratulations to Robin van Persie. Looks like he's going to be made the new Feyenoord coach. If I remember correctly, was that where Van Persie started? Was that where Van Persie was signed from by Arsenal? I know he played for Feyenoord before. And if I remember correctly, does his son play for Feyenoord? Don't know. Anyway, congratulations to Van Persie. And Feyenoord knocked out, who was it? No, it was PSV. Was it PSV last night? PSV knocking out Juventus? I think it was PSV. Obviously, Real Madrid absolutely spanking and slapping up Man City. I enjoyed that one. I'll tell you what, you want to get a bit of positivity? How about this? Forgot about this. Right. Tonight, Matthew, we've been planning this video for a good while, right? Any conversation around Pep Guardiola being the greatest manager of all time, it just makes me want to bang my head against a brick wall. Like, he's done incredible things at Barcelona, decent things at Bayern Munich, and has dominated the Premier League. But anybody who tries to put him above Fergie, I honestly think just deserves a good old slap in the face. And that's what this video is tonight. United People's Productions. We normally put it out on a Wednesday, but because of, well, I was waiting for that game yesterday in which, Mbappe got a hat-trick and slapped City up. This video's going out tonight. And I'll tell you what, if you want a bit of positivity, enjoy yourself and watch that video. That's exactly what that is. For anybody who tries to argue about Pep being better than Fergie, I think it's just such a fruitless and pointless argument that can be quite easily pulled apart bit by bit by facts and figures. And that's exactly what that video is going to be tonight. So 7 p.m. If you want a bit of positivity, join in that one. And if you like Stevie Nicks, you'll like the intro track. Right. Richard saying, please do a Scholes video to cheer me up. Scholes is a player? Yes. Scholes is a pundit? Huh. Gary Neville is a player? Yes. Gary Neville is a pundit? Rio Ferdinand is a player? Yeah. Rio Ferdinand is a pundit? There is a repeating pattern between all of them. Right. Let's run through the news. And I'm going to have to start with this video. This video came out from, was it Sky? I think it was Sky News. Sky Sports News, one or two. Yesterday, and it was Abraham Glazer out in presumably Florida being asked about Manchester United. That seems appropriate. I reckon that sums things up right now. You press the video and it starts buffering. Yeah, that sums up United right now. Right, let me get the right part of this video.
Remains over £1 billion. Sky News US.
Oh, fucking hell. I can't even get this right.
Correspondent Mark Stone spoke to Glazer in Miami.
Miami, there you go.
So are you going to sell up? Can I have a quick word about it?
It's like chasing a worm. Not even a worm. Worms have purposes. Let's just ignore. Fuck. I'd love to slap him up so badly, man. Look at him.
So are you...
Have you ever seen anybody look more like a villain? Like I think I said this on Twitter yesterday. Like, if you've got a kid in a class to draw, what does a villain look like? They draw this scumbag.
Worried that Sir Jim Ratcliffe has made things a lot worse for you with Manchester United. He seems to be getting the blame, not you.
I'm on my way to see the president right now. I don't think it's appropriate to talk about right now. Thank you.
Okay, but will you sell up? No. Okay.
All right. Of course, you heard it at the end there. One more time.
No. Okay.
Talk about right now. Thank you.
Okay, but will you sell up? No.
Now, I know I'm correct. Manchester United are a publicly limited company, so I don't think that even if they were planning on doing, I don't think they can actually announce anything in public because it affects the rules, the legalities, blah, 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 blah. The greatest thing that happened to the Premier League, well, the greatest thing that happened to every single other club in the Premier League was the Glazer takeover of Manchester United. And it boils your blood beyond belief, and it's the way, I think it's just that the energy is dwindling. The energy is dwindling. I said to you, if it doesn't work out Ruben Amorim, I'm not sure if I'm going to have the energy to go again. Obviously, I will. I'll be here. I'm not going to go anywhere. I started this channel, at the wrong time. Woohoo! We've had to deal with some amount of bullshit in these last few years. You just don't know where to turn now. You just don't know where to turn, right? This is exactly why the 1958 were organising a protest on the 9th of March. And I will encourage every single United fan, if you are going to the game, then please do get involved. There will be more details. I'll speak to the lads as well. I'll see what I can do to help promote this. Just like I've helped promote everything that they've done so far. I think what the 1958 were able to achieve, certainly in the last couple of years, when they were able to mobilise a United fan base into regular protests, I thought was something that I hadn't seen before in United. So I think they deserve the support. And ultimately, you know who the main focus of the protest is. It's the full sale of the club. Captain Statebait coming in there with a super chat saying, I still believe Jassim would have had this club's best interests at heart. And I know there's going to be United fans that are still pissed off at this, but I will just stand by it now. I've sat on the fence before, but I will not sit on the fence again. I never, ever, not even 1%, wanted Manchester United to be sold and to become a state-owned club. Not 1% of me. Now, the part of me that was neutral, that wanted to try and sit on the fence, and I realised that I was like, well, Sam, you might not want it, but it could happen, right? So if it could happen, I think it would be stupid of you to just completely dismiss it out of hand, so you're going to have to try and understand both sides of it. And I did that. I don't have to do that anymore. So screw that, sod that. Never, not even 1% of me wanted a state takeover. I do not want Manchester United to become the latest shiny toy that gets used by countries like Saudi Arabia or Qatar or Dubai or whoever else it is. Sod that. Sod that. And I don't have to entertain anybody who would have suggested otherwise. It's about opinions, right? You can have, oh, but Sam, you got in bed with Ineos and then this and that and this and that. I don't care. Ross, not even now? Nope. There is not one part of me that will ever want Manchester United to become the thing that I've hated in this football club. No, sorry, that I've hated in this league. Ever since Roman Abramovich came in. And then, of course, who was it with City? Was it UAE? I think it was. Nah, never. Never. All right. Don't care about anybody. Dad, you can say if you're looking at it the wrong way. Nope. My opinion on this one is completely firm. It doesn't matter what you say or what you tell me in the comments. Never in a million years did I want Manchester United to be that club. You can disagree with me on that if you want. I really don't care. Sam Harrison saying, how do we, as their money source, really make a dent in their pockets? Obviously talking about the Glazers there. The fact that Ineos banned their dividends for 3 years means they can't take any money out. Which means the only conceivable way of them actually making money now is by the value of Manchester United going up. Now, that's invariably directly linked to whether we're successful on the pitch or not. But I need to go back through and read the documents about the phased takeover. Remember that everything that the drag along rights, that if after 18 months a bid came in for the club from someone else, say hypothetically, someone comes in and offers 10 billion for United, the Glazers could force Ineos to sell their shares. I need to look into the sort of technicalities of that, when that gets pulled into play, what it actually means. Obviously, the thing that I saw and wanted with Ineos from the beginning, I saw the 27% as the beginning of a phased takeover. Now, I think Jim Ratcliffe's bought another 1% something like that. Can't remember how much it is. I think he owns like 20. Ineos own like 28 point something percent now. But how does that keep increasing? How do you keep increasing the equity? Is it a case of Ineos going to put X amount of money into it, and then they're going to get more shares that are going to get released? I don't know. I'm going to speak about Ineos's finances next. Connor saying, when it comes to United, I use the motto of my rugby club, Munster, to stay positive on the future, to the brave and faithful. Nothing is impossible. Well, you want to talk about Manchester United, mate? We want to talk about what happened after the Munich air disaster and the fact that within 10 years we won the exact European Cup that Sir Matt Busby was trying to win back in '58 with the Babes. If you can recover from that, we will and can recover from anything. But we have just got the greatest anchor that has ever existed in football ownership in this football club when it comes to scale and size. I'm going to go down and read some of your comments down here. I'm sure they're all going to be chipper. Sorry, Sam, we disagree. It can't get worse than where we are right now. Glazers versus Qatar. I go Qatar every time. We are the worst run in the Premier League. Worst run club in the Premier League. You entitled to your opinion, Esther? Totally disagree. Akash saying, I'm really frightened for the next 5 years. Personally, I don't want a new stadium built whilst these Yanks are majority owners. I can't really believe that we're having, just in terms of timing, that we're having the conversations about the new stadium at a time where our finances are like at the worst they've ever been. I think compared to last year, I think it's on a slightly different trajectory in terms of the overall costs in certain areas coming down. But I kind of find it deeply ironic that it's not even deeply ironic, but how is it that we are talking, like we're at the point we're considering a new stadium at a time when we have the least amount of money and the biggest amount of debt? It doesn't match up. Right. Let's quickly start running through this, okay? I'm just going to pull up a top-level overview of United's finances. Okay? And wherever you look with these, there is not something that's going to put a smile on your face. The interest repayments that have left Man United now total over $1 billion. And yeah, I'm writing that out as $1 billion. I'm putting all the damn zeros down there just to make people realize how much money that is. You know, when you say $1 million and you say $1 billion, you think, can't be that much difference. $1 billion is so much damn more than $1 million. But that is near enough there, just on the interest repayments, what Spurs paid for their new stadium. I think Spurs' new stadium was somewhere in the region of 1.2 to 1.4 billion-ish. So it wasn't a complete grand total. But that's legitimately that's like having a mortgage and just paying off the interest on it. And it's over $1 billion has left our club because of that. The debt that now exists, and the debt is the big buzzword. It always has been the big buzzword, and that's the thing that obviously anybody who wanted the Qatari takeover would scream and shout. The debt would be cleared straight away, and I can't disagree with that. I think you would have been selling quite a big part of the soul of Manchester United as a consequence of that. that debt won't go anywhere until the Glazers don't have a majority percentage control of Manchester United. Even if right now, and you will never find in any business of United scale around the world, I don't think anyway, a situation where somebody who's a minority owner, which is Ineos, have like full business control, full football ownership of anything to do with the day-to-day running of the club. The Glazers don't have any say. Yeah, maybe they got to sign up. They don't do anything, absolutely anything. And nothing is going to happen towards that debt until the Glazers don't have that majority percentage, because Ineos aren't going to put it in while the Glazers still legally own more than 50%. This one here is, we talk about the finances that have been caused by the Glazers and their negligent mismanagement for 20 years. This right here is purely on Ineos and Ineos alone. £14.5 million that we spent on sacking Eric Ten Hag, his staff, and also hiring and firing of Dan Ashworth. Those two things, those two mistakes are the biggest mistakes that Ineos have made so far. Ineos have made plenty of mistakes, plenty of things that can be argued and debated as to whether it was the right thing to do or not. That right there is just complete fuck-ups by Ineos. Huge, huge mistakes that's totally on them and how they have run the club. That's on Ineos. That's on nothing but mismanagement, incorrect decisions. And I'm going to run through the Varane conversation a little bit later, right? Because that interview it's like a really cutting interview. Because it was so honest. That down there as well. Jeez, my God. Wish I had 15.5 million cash in my bank. If Jim Ratcliffe's investments had not gone in, then right now we would nearly be at the zero. We'd have £15.5 million in cash in the bank. Sam Harrison down there going, oh my God, why is it? It feels like a bit of a, I know I've gone after Swedish Rumble a couple of times, but I will go back to that. You remember, I'll go back to it again. Was it in the build up to last summer saying, no, United's finances are fine, lads. Mate, we can spend like 300 million. Here's why. Here's proof that we can spend Shut up. Putting false hopes into the heads of United fans. And then they're pissed off when those hopes don't come to reality because you understand the finances and you're looking at the finances and how screwed this club is. That's a really bad one. The negative overall cash flow, so money leaving the club, was 54 million. And this one's a scary one, right? Despite the fact that there was the same number of games. Now, when they talk about revenues rose 4.4 million, what they mean is compared to Q1 from the last year. Right? That's what it means. But matchday revenues rose despite there being the same number of games, and that's because of, quote unquote, a strong demand for matchday hospitality packages. That's what Ineos want. And this is something that's definitely been happening at this football club for 2-3 years, maybe even a little bit longer. They want to phase out season ticket holders. They want to phase out core Manchester United fans. They would much rather... It's like universities who want to get sort of like foreign students in simply because they can charge a foreign student so much more than they can a domestic student. So therefore, they'd rather have those because they get more money out of them. And that's like proof in the pudding right there. The fact that it doesn't matter how crap United are, the demand for hospitality packages won't ever really go away at Manchester United. From a corporate perspective, it's still an awesome day out to take your team or to take somebody else or to come over as a tourist and to spend that amount of money. That's a huge red flag. And that's the fear there. And that adds into the fact that this is definitely the fear I've got around the new stadium. It's definitely my biggest concern is what Manchester United will become. It will become that sort of that destination, which is it's not really. And Jim Ratcliffe actually said this himself. Is you need the experience of what does a football fan do an hour and a half, 2 hours before a game, and an hour and a half, 2 hours after the game, and how you can maximise that. I'll say it one more time. I find it incredible that the conversations about Manchester United's new stadium are happening at the time when this is the truth about our finances. It was supposed to get better. I didn't expect Ineos to come in and wave a magic wand. I didn't expect all of Manchester United's problems to disappear overnight. I knew how bad our finances were, and I know that they are still awful, and I know that they are going to take years to overcome. And just a fact of the matter is this. Manchester United's costs, Manchester United's overheads, how much it costs to run our football club is like Champions League level of costs. Because we are one of the 3 biggest clubs in the world. But we have Champions League level of costs throughout the football club, and we're fucking 15th in the league. We're in the Europa League. Unless we win the Europa League this season, and I cannot stress this enough, I think winning the Europa League, or not winning the Europa League, could set us back by at least another year in terms of what we will be able to financially do. I'm not just talking about the players that we can sign. And I'm sure there will be some players that we won't be able to sign. But the reality of our signings is that our transfer strategy has completely changed. So we weren't going to sign Gyökeres anyway because of the price of him. But if he was to chase Champions League football, obviously that would put him off. Winning the Europa League is so crucial to the state of our football club. And I agree down there, Mr. Moon, like winning the Europa League, we need a miracle. I still think we're one of the favourites in the competition down there. SAF saying down there, saying, I hope it's understood now that Ineos have knowingly enabled the Glazers to stay here when we could have had a full sale. They are part of the problem. And that's a comment I see quite a lot there. I see it everywhere. And I just laugh. What, you mean the Qatari bid that never offered, and the problem here is we go back to these scumbags who put just an outrageous price on Manchester United. What was it, 6 billion, 7 billion, 8 billion? Somewhere between 6 and 8 billion. Qataris didn't offer it. Jim Ratcliffe didn't offer it. Ineos didn't offer it. Not one single person or establishment or country offered the amount of money that they wanted to sell the club because they just inflated the price, right? Had Ineos, and this is something and again, this is a game of opinions here because this never happened, so you don't know. I think if Ineos had backed out, I think the Glazers would have butchered up Manchester United and sold us off to investment firms, hedge funds. I think that we would have been like the Glazer would have owned the majority, and then Elliott Investment would have owned like 13%, and then someone else would have owned like 12%, and it would have been, well, there would have been absolutely no ownership structure. I mean, there isn't right now. And that's why I did that video yesterday. I kind of wanted to say a top line video on where I'm at with Ruben Amorim, and I'll speak about Ruben Amorim. Fuck it, I'll speak about the actual football later in the video, which would be nice. Manchester United Football Club. And so often you forget about that. But going to Ineos, right? And I've told you my opinion. I tried my best to stay on the fence the whole way through. And I've now given my opinion. All right? I never wanted a Qatari takeover. Never in a million years. I preferred the Ineos bid. But this first year, I expected them to make some mistakes. I didn't expect them to make mistakes on the scale that they did, that are as damaging as they have been and expensive as they have been. And I'll tell you what I didn't expect. And this is something I'd love to get your opinion on. Okay? So in the last, what is it? It's probably like 2 months now. You've got 3 separate incidents with Ineos and their sports teams. Well, actually, nearly 4. One was the Ineos pulling out of the America's Cup deal with Ben Ainsley. I think they're actually going to still stay in sailing, but just not with Ben Ainsley. Then Ineos pulled out of paying the All Blacks for their sponsorship. They just didn't make a payment. And this one now, they want to cancel their Spurs partnership. If you look in the Spurs stadium on the back of the dugouts, you've got Ineos Grenadiers that are written on the dugout chairs. And then I think there was conversations that they might pull out of sponsoring Mercedes. So I think they own part of that club, but not part of that club, the F1 team. So Ineos, seemingly, and let's find out if this happens, right? It feels to me like Ineos massively undervalued? No, I don't know the right way to describe that. Underappreciated the scale of how much maybe investment you could say financially, but also just overall the Manchester United takeover would require. But also, and this is where I'm definitely concerned, I remember doing lots and geez, so much damn research that we all did during these conversations about the takeover. I don't remember at any point, now correct me if I'm wrong, all right, because maybe I'm just forgetting, but I don't think I am. I don't remember at any point any of us having concerns about the financial state of Ineos. Now, things, of course, change. And clearly, this is something that has massively changed. In the last, if you're looking at the what's going on with Russia and Ukraine and the impact that's had on prices, and I don't know what else has been written down here. COVID-19. Anyway, things have clearly happened. But I need to do more research into these numbers and to see how or why it would impact Manchester United. But these are some scary numbers, all right? The change in fortunes, this is from The Guardian, by the way, Guardian Business. The change in fortunes has decimated earnings at the largest Ineos companies. The most recent accounts from Ineos Group, its Luxembourg-based business, show that its profit before tax plunged by 1.87 billion euros in 2023 to 407.8 million, compared with 2.28 billion for the same period in 2022. So between 2022 and 2023, went down 400 million in profit, and then it went down 1.4 billion. Still in profit, but that's a huge drop. Ineos Industries, its largest UK company, slumped to a loss of just over €1 billion in 2023 from a profit of 1.5 billion euros the year before. And you go down there, a separate subsidiary, which has now reported a loss of 200 million from a profit of 2 billion. And I'm looking at all of this going, have I just not done the research properly? Or is this all coming out is this something that's happening post? I don't know. But now I'm looking at Ineos's finances and I'm going, I'm concerned. More than concerned. What do you hear here? What do you feel is going to happen in the next 6 months? I'm curious as to know what you think. Hey, Jonathan, I'm not sitting there going, I'm not asking for any sort of sympathy. I'm just not saying that at all. I'm just kind of pointing out the numbers that I'm now reading. And you're talking about Ineos not doing due diligence or forecasting. I don't really think you can forecast an invasion. COVID-19, you absolutely can. Yeah, it's just... We go to Goodison Park on Saturday as well. 12:30 kickoff. I'm sitting back. I'm relaxing. What else is everyone saying in the comments? Pain and suffering, says Rico. That's good. It's going to be chaos somewhere there. Administration. Honestly, I would take relegation if it meant that the Glazers left. Hand on heart, I would. Hand on heart. I'm being deadly serious. I don't know what will force them to leave. Well, you know exactly what will force them to leave. Someone come in and offering an absolute insane amount of money. Like, insane amount of money. And look at this as well. Like, this is a kind of a slightly separate point, but all kind of related to it. Because of the state of our finances, pre-season this season is going to be nuts. Pre-season is going to be nuts. Like, after the season, we're doing a post-season tour. I don't know who did it last. Was it Spurs or someone? I think it might have been Spurs and Newcastle did it like, as soon as the season finished, they were playing a game in Australia. And I'm thinking, man, those players must be pissed. But we're doing that after the season ends. We're doing like some post-season tour. We're going to get $10 million for it. Great. And then go down here and read this. We may also play a series on the West Coast, and we're doing a 3-game series. I think we're playing in Chicago, maybe New Jersey. And I can't remember where the third game was in preseason. But it looks like when the season is finished, we're going to be flying to Malaysia and doing a postseason tour there. And then after that, we're going to be coming back and then doing a preseason tour where we fly and we go to New Jersey, we go to Chicago, we go the whole way to the West Coast as well. Now we're going to be screwed, man. You know how preseason is supposed to be where football is the focus. It's just not possible when our finances are like this. This takes complete precedent and complete priority. And I now fear the impact that's going to have on the start of the season. So do not be surprised to see the injuries come back as a consequence of all this traveling and everything that we need to do. Punishment down there. I don't call it what you want, man. Call it what you want. Tough. Very, very tough times. And I think I could do a whole separate video on this Varane interview. All right. I don't think I've got the energy to. If I'm being totally honest, it was a fantastic interview. I saw it, and I was really glad that they did it. Actually, Andy Mitten and Laurie Whitwell calling out, I think it was Centre Devils, for just taking the interview and just posting it like 16, 17, all with steak adverts at the bottom, which has just been a plague of Twitter post Elon Musk taking it over. Top lad. I was good to see them calling him out because it's a fantastic interview. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll leave the link to the interview here. If you haven't had a chance to read it, I'd encourage you to do so. It's basically just an open and honest conversation with Raphael Varane about his time at Como, his time at United, his time at Real Madrid, the problems he saw, the comparisons he saw. And there were a couple of talking points that I want to bring out. Just have a conversation about here. This is Varane speaking about what happened between him and Ten Hag, right? He said, we had a robust discussion. We told each other some truths, but then I didn't play for almost 2 months. I said I didn't agree with certain ways of doing things regarding the relationship between him and the team. It wasn't something that I thought was good for the team because some of the players weren't at all satisfied. It was not good in terms of the relationship with the coach. He said, okay, I hear what you said. And then after that, I didn't play. I mean, it's no surprise to really hit. I suppose there isn't anything particularly new about that. But this one here is where it's made me go, And he was questioned about Erik Ten Hag staying on. And he said, I was surprised he stayed because the connection with the group no longer existed. And the reason I'm pulling this photo up here is because up until this point, I've not praised heavily. I haven't praised anybody in Manchester United heavily. But I thought Jason Wilcox had been doing a decent job. And since Dan Ashworth has obviously got sacked, he's stepped up quite a bit. But that was Dan Ashworth's job. That was Jason Wilcox's job. Dan Ashworth wasn't in before the end of last season, so he couldn't do any of these have any of these conversations post the FA Cup being won. It was Jason Wilcox who was the man on the ground. How is it that Wilcox wasn't able to find out that the connection between the players and Erik Ten Hag didn't exist? Because that in isolation, just on its own, that's an easy sack. It is a very, very easy sack. As soon as you know that, and as soon as you find out and you do your digging, and we can't know this. We can't know this ourselves as fans. But that's what Jason Wilcox should be doing. Finding out that relationship with the players was broken. And despite the fact that we've won the FA Cup, the reality is that behind the scenes, it's probably not going to therefore lead to something different next season. The reality is it's far more likely that we see a repeat of this season and a reversal back to what happened this season rather than the FA Cup being the springboard that fans wanted it to be. That's what I would have expected from those conversations. And someone's down there, Pavel, saying, I'm sick of players sacking managers. If a full squad loses connection with a manager, Jonathan, one side of a story. And I think this is all kind of fair enough to have a discussion and debate about as well. Just this, almost every aspect of this club, man. Still a year in. And that is on Ineos. And I know that they are cleaning up 20 years of mess. But at the same time, they are making individual mistakes and their mistakes on top of it. And it's totally fair to speak and be pissed off about those as well. This one here, I think, just to give you a little bit of info, I've wanted to do a video for a long, long, long time on this channel. But I've not done it yet. And we're now working on it in the background. And the video is going to be a deep dive into the pressures of playing for Manchester United. Because there are untold amounts of examples of individuals who have come to our club and just not been the player that we thought they were going to be. And there's almost like every United fan knows that there is a huge amount of truth in the fact that playing for United it's just different on so many levels to so many other football clubs, but it's kind of hard to articulate in a debate and an argument. That's what this video is designed to do. It's going to be coming out probably in about a month's time. It's going to take a lot of work, this one, but this is being worked on in the background as our next deep dive, really exploring the pressures of playing for United. Right? And this here from Varane on pressures and expectation, I thought was probably one of the best parts of the interview. He said, you have to be able to build a long-term strategy while resisting the daily pressure and matches every 3 days, and that's what's difficult. For years, the fans have been expecting to win immediately. Those who take the decisions to achieve these goals want to achieve them straight away. You have to be calm in a storm, in the knowledge that you are building something. Sometimes when the storm came, we needed to make quick decisions. Change something. At Real Madrid, people accept the pressure and know how to live with it. What I say that the players are in the best conditions, when I say the players are in the best conditions at Madrid, it's because we're trying to protect them from that pressure. There's enough pressure already playing on the pitch with the fans, media and social media, and that's why there was a bit of a protective atmosphere around the players at Madrid. It's the club where there's undoubtedly the most pressure, but whether it's the coach or the way the club handles difficult situations, it really is a protection against that pressure. At Manchester United, that wasn't the case. Now, I have said this, I've said this so many times on this channel. When I talk about what made Fergie a great manager and what made Manchester United, and you talk about the soul of Manchester United. That's why that Beckham story is the one that will always stand out in my mind. After the World Cup in '98, he was getting effigies burned and hung of him, but he came back into Manchester United and it was close the doors. You're in your safe place now. Man United won the treble that season. David Beckham should have won the Ballon d'Or. He was the best player in the world. Because Manchester United took its player in and protected them against the pressure. Whereas in reality now, I don't know whether you can accurately say this or fairly say this. It feels like when it comes to the pressure at Manchester United, there's just as much coming from within as from outside. Ant saying, should the club be protecting against this pressure or recruiting players who can handle it? I think this is, again, another reason why it's more beneficial for United to sign younger players, because right now they're unscathed. Right now, if you get, and this is what I mean, right? I'm not turning on Ruben Amorim. I'm not doing it. I look at this manager, I look at this man, and I see somebody who I know in my heart of hearts more than Erik ten Hag. I was wrong about ten Hag, sure. Could I be wrong about Amorim? Sure. I don't care. I really don't care. And I've said this so many times on this channel. I would rather support a player, I would rather support a manager and support a head coach and get laughed at, get pointed at. I'm not going to do it blindly, of course. But I'd rather do that, and I would rather support a player and be proven wrong about supporting said player or said manager than being the United fan. Oh, I told you so. 4 months ago, I said that he was a dick. I was right first. Go me. Well, you're supporting yourself there. Well done, mate. No, tap on your own back. Fantastic. Good for you. Don't give a shit. I look at Ruben Amorim and I see a manager who really turned Sporting around. And the circumstances are very different. I'm looking at his football right now, and it's awful. I'm looking at so many of these players, and I'm thinking, again, this is me giving the players too much credit. I was like, it feels like this squad is better than what we saw under Erik ten Hag, and then Amorim comes in, and it will be better. And I'm looking now, and I'm going, oh my God, man. Ruben Amorim, I don't want him to go anywhere. I don't want Manchester United to all of a sudden completely throw a whole transfer strategy out the window and just sign players to play three at the back. First of all, we had no transfer strategy. And there's a big reason why we're in this mess right now, okay? All that debt and everything that we're talking about, if we hadn't have wasted as much money, over $1 billion that we have wasted post-Fergie, we would not be in this position. But I look at him and I see someone who I think genuinely deserves the support of fans, even if we're 15th in the league. Do I think that playing four at the back would all of a sudden make Manchester United better? No, I really, really don't. I saw that exact same squad play with four at the back under Erik ten Hag about 3-4 months ago. Show me that was better. Do I think that he can make some tweaks to not to his system, but in certain approaches and certain positions? Yes, I do. And that is going to be on Amorim to do. And that has to start with the game that's coming up on Sunday, which I'll speak about next. Rex, you're saying, I know what Rafa is saying in terms of Varane, but the protection that the fans gave to the players ebbed away with the constant downing of tools when they didn't like it. And it's, Rex, you could get into a whole argument here in a conversation, and it's like chicken and the egg, isn't it? What came first? I think the kind of annoying thing really in terms of properly understanding that is social media truly emerged at the exact same time as Fergie retired. So in terms of increased pressure, it's hard to measure which one of those two things caused it at United, when in reality they both caused it, but both of them at the same time. The fact that Fergie left and all the standards just dropped off a cliff, and also the increased exposure and the pressure that is created with it that social media and the rise of social media caused. Both those two things happen at the same time at United. And pressure separates diamonds from the coal. It is one of my favourite things. But the pressure at Manchester United has not been an asset for a long time now. The pressure of playing at Old Trafford is seen as pressure rather than a privilege. Like, fuck, lads, like you're only going to get a few years to play in one of the greatest cauldrons that football has ever had or will ever have. Accept that pressure, because that's the buzz, that's the dopamine hit that when you're retired, you're going to go back and go, oh my God, man, I wish I did more there. It's why I speak about randomly, like Jadon Sancho, looking back in his United career, when he's old and grey and sitting there in a rocking chair, he's going to look back and go, probably should have played that differently. Whoop. But if we just focus on the football, and I'd love to do that, I really would. Like, we've had a 50, let's be honest, it's probably one of the angriest shows I've ever had. It's kind of it's just where I'm feeling as a United fan. I can't switch off from it. I'm so entrenched into everything that I'm doing here with United People's TV, and I love the fact that you've all enabled me to do it. With the podcast, with the deep dives, with the mini documentaries, and I try as best as possible not to sort of just pour kerosene on the fire for the sake of pouring kerosene on the fire. And I see others doing it, and I always try and avoid doing it. But sometimes it's all you can do. What do you think happens in the rest of this season? I'm just talking about the football, all right? What's everyone's sort of? I wouldn't say I don't want predictions. I don't want you to say, "Oh, we're going to finish 14th and we're going to do." Like, what's your expectations? What random comment? Did you just call Old Trafford a cauldron? Mate, Old Trafford at its pomp, like even if you want to go back to looking at the Barcelona game under Eric Ten Hag, it was an absolute cauldron of noise. Absolute cauldron. That was great. And that's what Old Trafford used to be on all the European nights. Let's see what you're saying down in the comments. JC, man, I wish I could be more enthusiastic when I say this, but thank you very much for gifting some memberships to the community. And can I say to all of you, please just go into the Discord and try and cheer each other up. And you're saying, I'm just expecting us to stay up, no trophies. We're going to finish 17th. I believe we'll win a few more games, and I think winning the Europa is going to be difficult. We've effectively got, 7 games left this season? The Europa League games. They are the most important games that we've got now. And whether this season will never be able to be considered a success. This is the worst season that we've had in the Premier League. That follows the worst season we've ever had in the Premier League. Go on, boys. I said that we were going to finish somewhere between 8th and 13th. Still think that's right. Probably not 8th. Let's be honest. Someone's saying, call me optimistic. I think we'll finish the season strongly, says Toby. It would be beautiful to see a switch. And let's bring in the expectations and just speak about the game on Saturday. After Everton's last game was the game against Liverpool. I think it was. Big moment for them. And this is the last time they're going to play Manchester United at Goodison Park. Early kickoff, at least it's an early kickoff. Atmosphere shouldn't be as crazy as a nighttime kickoff. I'm going to do my preview that goes out at lunchtime today. 2 videos today. We're back in the rhythm of it. The Everton starting 11 is going to come out at lunchtime, and also at 7 p.m. tonight, I'm going to be dropping that video on Pep and Fergie. And I hope that will give you all a little bit of, not light relief, but something that you feel you can enjoy and watch as a Manchester United fan. All right? Let's hope we go on a winning run, someone saying down there. And William, I think that's probably a good thing to finish on there. A good question to finish. Not a good question. I was asking myself before the show, and I think I said it in the podcast this morning. I was like, where can you... For someone who always prefers to see the glass half full, where can you possibly look for a bit of optimism right now? I'm going to read this article from Carl Anker after, but just the headline there. We have tried every which way at this football club for the last 10 years. We've tried every single flavour of manager. We've tried every single style of signing. None of it has worked. None of it. I do think, and we saw Chido come on. It's February, and Chido's made his United debut now. Okay. I think there's going to be more from our youth players. And it would be very, very fitting for Manchester United if we, in a few years' time, we can look back and say, I'm not saying this is going to happen, by the way, but wouldn't it be fitting if it's youth who provides the spark that actually brings around a bit of change at this club? Wouldn't that be the most fitting thing in the world at Manchester United? Could it be that it's Chido scoring a couple of goals? Could it be that it's Jack Morehouse coming on and playing a role in one of the number 10 positions? Could it be that Sekou Kone makes a breakthrough? I don't know what it could be. Could it be God Walker Conky coming in at left centre back? There's a few different ones. But it would be fitting, right? I'm sorry I'm so pissed off today, but I just can't hide it. All right? I'll tell you something that happened as well. That right there is my MacBook Pro drying after a full glass of Coke was spilt on it when I was away, and it won't turn on. That's an expensive mistake. Just thought I'd tell you that because I saw it there. Look, I'll be back tomorrow. It'll be Friday. I'm sure I'll be chirpier. The reality is that just like no matter where you look, there's a fire at Manchester United, and I know that not everyone's going to agree with me. I know that for sure. But it is what it is. Thank you all for getting involved today, and I'll be back here tomorrow. All right. Take it easy, everyone.